Okay, hello there, and welcome to week number 2 of this sketch and critique experiment, if you like. And my apologies, my deepest apologies for yesterday's problems, technical hitches. I really hope you're seeing me now, because yesterday I did the whole thing without anything being broadcast at all. The problem was something to do with Photoshop and Windows and how I had them set up on my computer. So hopefully you can see me now. And so what I'm going to do is do a little bit of sketch painting in Photoshop. And off we go. So this is the new challenge on Characterama. It's Sophia Halep, Simona Halep, sorry, a tennis player. I've not heard of her, but she's got a really interesting face. So I'm gonna block in. I like the expression on this reference, so I'm gonna go with that. I'm just blocking in some rough sort of background shapes. Just so I know where the head is. And I've got the Zorn palette here, so I've got a yellow ochre and a cadmium red and ultramarine. I haven't actually got an ivory black there, or black. I've got a burnt umber, so I may use that instead. Okay, so try and recreate some skin tones. That's too warm, so I'll cool it down a bit. Oh, that's quite nice. You can go lighter. So I don't want to leave too much space for the forehead. I want to leave more space for the cheeks. And the teeth. So she's got kind of she's got a really wide smile, but the teeth stay close in the middle. So I'm going to use some of this red just to emphasize where the cheeks are going to be. I'm just looking for the bigger masses at the moment. Let's warm up that brown a bit. some of that yellow, slightly smaller brush. You can change the colors. You can always paint over the top of things just to adjust. So just roughing out where the teeth will be. Some of that burnt umber. So obviously it's very early days, yeah, and you know there's not going to be a likeness for quite a while yet. But I like the fact that there's a lot of shadows on this reference, and you know it really defines the forms quite nicely, which makes sort of working or plotting out the forms really easy. Yeah, putting the eyebrows in helps a little bit. Yeah, can probably go a bit higher. Start defining the forms a little bit. So put in some of those highlights. Don't want to go too light on the highlights straight away. So we just gradually block in the forms with the color. Sticking to a large brush as long as we can. Just keep on making adjustments. Even smaller than the chin. So while I'm doing this and getting lost in what I'm doing, those of you who are interested in the course, it's a 9-week course with 9 weekly assignments, and you will get a live critique with me once a week based on your assignments, and you'll have my full attention for a whole hour, and you can pick my brains and ask me anything you like, and I'll do my very best to guide you with where I can see you need to make improvements, and any help you need, that's your chance to get it. And it's completely one-to-one. No interruptions. And you can have that for 9 weeks. And in the past I've done critiques where I record it and then upload it, and so the student's getting just a one-sided conversation. It's not you can still benefit from it. I think it's still a valuable thing, but having me there live creates a whole new dynamic. You can ask me a question straight away, and I can respond and change the way I do the critique to suit what's going on in your head, and you can find out what's going on in my head as well, and I can respond straight away. So it's having that instant response is really valuable, I think. It makes a huge difference. And that's one of the reasons I changed it, because I missed that sort of interaction with the person whose work I'm critiquing. Yeah, I might not use this particular sketch. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, it's just a painting stroke sketch, so I'm just experimenting. I love the shadows on this. I think maybe the nose could be bigger. Let's try it with the nose bigger. Maybe the eyes going close together as well. Higher hairline, perhaps. I'm not seeing a complete likeness at the moment. I think maybe the head shape. So, if I was going to sketch again, then I would probably round off the head and make the neck thinner. There's lots of changes I would make. So, this is just a rough sketch. Doesn't have to be the most amazing thing I've ever done. But it's a starting block for something else. So I'm looking at this other reference and seeing other ways that I could exaggerate her. So she's kind of got a more rounded. Everything's really rounded. So I would try and capture that, but it's including her face, and it's the way her features protrude from her face. It doesn't. The exaggeration on this doesn't do it for that. So this one I would probably scrap and start again. So I'm going to do a little critique of someone's work now, and then I might come back and do another little sketch and see how we go. Okay. So this is Ivan. My apologies for not remembering your second name. He gave me a link last week. And he does some really nice work. I like the really good likeness, fantastic likeness. I really can't fault the likeness at all. The only thing I would say with his work is that it's in terms of exaggeration, it's very safe. So there isn't much exaggeration at all. And this one, for example, it kind of looks like a portrait, and the exaggeration is by making the body smaller. and it looks like there's a portrait stuck onto a small body. So as a caricature, it doesn't work. As a portrait, if you just took this, it's great. There's not much I can fault about it, but it's because it isn't presented with that. It's presented as a caricature that the contrast shows as well. And also this reference, there isn't much that you can exaggerate. You could probably sort of pull her nose out a little bit, which he's kind of done, but there's not much to go on. If you're going to exaggerate something, you need a contrast in shapes and size. So if someone's got a bigger nose and smaller eyes, or their eyes are close together and they've got a big chin, those kind of contrasts, something to work with. But when someone's sort of classically beautiful, should we say, or attractive, then all the features are of a similar size. So a character artist has got nothing to work with. So in terms of rendering, the only thing that sticks out in for me is the end of the nose, this grey area here. You can adjust that slightly. So just a few of the values could be altered slightly. But that's it. There's not much more I could fault with the rendering, apart from the use of a texture as well. So I see that there's an overall filter been added, a canvas filter, and it never looks authentic. It looks what it is, and it's a canvas filter plonked over the top of a digital painting. So in terms of fooling the eye into thinking that it's canvas, it doesn't do it for me. So I prefer to go to the textures on the brush, and I've got a canvas texture there. I've actually got a preset that I use that's already got a texture loaded onto it, and it's a canvas texture. So if I go onto there, it should say extra heavy canvas 128 by 128, and it's on subtract, and you can adjust the depth as well. So if you have it 100%, then you get a really deep texture. Oh, and also it's set to texture each tip as well. I kind of like to start off with it halfway down, and then it really feels like you're putting some paint onto a canvas. And also, it doesn't. You're not getting like an overall texture. You're getting a texture on each stroke, so it has more of a feel of the paint actually going onto the canvas, rather than just an overlay of a texture on top. Yeah, anyway, let's get that back to there. So yeah, I mean, overall, Ivan's work is these likenesses are great, but I would like to see a little bit more fearlessness in terms of exaggerating. So I'm going to go back to my sketch here and see if I can go back to the beginning. Let's put another tone on there. Let's have another go. So I could try, oops, sorry. Zoom out on that one. Get rid of the texture for this. And the shape dynamics. Do you know what? I'm going to cancel that. Do a new layer. And I'm going to get a pencil. This one. And just going to sketch out just to try and get some of the shapes. Just love the roundedness of her features generally. It's got a round nose, got a round. It's all very rounded. And her brow is really prominent, so I want to try and exaggerate that, and the eyes. So try and emphasize that more than anything else. So I'm not, I'm not feeling it 100% yet, but I can sense that I'm in the right direction in terms of exaggeration and where the features are going to go. So I know this eye is going to go there. That eye is going to go up here. Maybe not exaggerate that ear quite so much. So if I was going to start to block in a little bit, is that in? Get my brush back. Okay, I'm going to flatten it. I don't like working with layers. I tend to avoid them. I don't know why I even added that one on there. So already I feel better about this version. I think it's a better likeness to work from. Yeah, I can see where the forms are going to go, and I'm blocking in this red. It's a little too light, but I can darken it. There you go. Put the shapes dynamics on just to do the eyebrow. So you can probably see, that it's where it's going. It's definitely a better start than the other one. I think the shapes and the likeness are harder to find in this reference. Even though I like the shadows and it's a funny expression. There's still a lot of expression in these eyes, and I like the fact that you can see the eyes as well. So this is definitely the better reference to go from. And it's the shapes as well. If you look for a reference with good shapes, then half the battle's won. So I'm certainly not going to finish this in this session, but it's good to start something and see where it goes. And it'll be fun to see another week's competition on character drama. So don't forget, if you want to sign up for the course, paulmoyes.com, and drop me an email if you have any questions. Happy to help anytime. Is there any texture on that? Seems like there's texture. Size just there you go. Okay, that's better. And also check out my book as well. If you can't afford the course, my books have tutorials in them, and particularly Heads and Shoulders, the new one. There's 24 pages, I think, of tutorials in that, and lots of lovely pictures as well, and some words. Got to put some words in there. we need words sometimes. So notice I'm blocking in as much as I can of the forms around the main features before I actually block it in the features themselves. So I try and avoid doing the eyes until I've actually blocked in as much of the structure as I can. Okay, so I still haven't figured out a way of seeing if I can seeing if you've asked any questions. So my apologies if you have and I haven't answered them. So I'm still learning how to do this. So you'll have to bear with me. If it's something you desperately want answered, then I'm happy to reply to emails and on Facebook after the broadcast. A very interesting shaped mouth as well. This is the beauty of blocking in with a larger brush. You can just move things around and play around with them and see if they're in the right place. And if not, you can change them without causing too much damage. Or you're not gonna do tons of rendering over an elaborate sketch and then realize that you have to change it all. So this is where you do all the changing. You're going to save a lot of time that way. So we're going to be coming to the end of our broadcast very soon. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope you've actually seen it. Not like yesterday when it was a blank screen. So I think this is going to be a much better likeness than the original sketch. It's very early days yet, obviously. But I'm interested in how it's going to pan out. I think it might make a nice portrait. Okay, so yep, it's time to wrap it up. Again, so any questions, please let me know. And hope you can tune in again next week and leave your links to your work. If you want me to critique something for next week, then leave a link in the comment section, either on this post or next week's one, preferably in this week's one, so I've got time to download the file and check out your work and so on. So the more notice I get, the better for that. And that's it. So thanks very much, and I'll see you again next week.